Welcome everybody to this edition of Attention Talk Video. I'm your host, ADHD and Attention Coach Jeff Copper, and I'm here to talk about ADHD and pressure. Really, this concept of pressure permeates the entire population, but it's particularly sensitive for those with ADD. And let me see if I can put pressure into a context so that we understand what the nature of it is. To me, the job of the defense in sports is to put pressure on the offense. And they do it for one simple reason. Pressure inhibits performance. And typically, where the defense attacks is at the weakest link. And when you begin to think about that, putting pressure on somebody inhibits performance, particularly in an area they're struggling with. So often this is those with ADHD come to me and they're feeling a lot of pressure because they're being attacked or struggling with the world in that area. And it's interesting because it's counterintuitive. Certainly, we put pressure on people to bring awareness to it so that they'll pay attention and not ignore it. But at the same time, for many of those with ADHD, that pressure actually paralyzes them. It takes them to a fight or flight. Many times you'll hear them say, I can't do this or whatever, they give up immediately. Other times, they're shitting all over themselves. They start to think I should do this and I should do that and I should just be able to do this. And the thing about saying you should or you need, interestingly enough, that always takes you back to the same solution that you prove hasn't worked for you. So when I'm coaching people and they come to me, the first thing we do, literally the first thing we do is we talk about pressure because we have to remove it. Because if I hear that pressure, if they're putting pressure on themselves or somebody's putting pressure on them to perform, I can't help them because it takes us back to what they've already proven doesn't work. And my job as a coach is to help them figure out what does. Which is funny, the trick is not knowing what to pay attention to, but really to get the pressure off and help them let go of what they think they should be doing. So if you have ADHD and you're feeling some pressure, I can tell you that you need to deal with that first because it's going to keep you down. If you're an individual that is impacted by ADHD, a parent or a spouse, and you're dealing with somebody with ADHD, I do want you to know is that that pressure can actually be making it worse. Now, realize that sometimes you put that pressure on somebody with ADHD on a deadline situation, they might be able to perform in that. Realize is that's kind of a self-medicating behavior because that adrenaline rush you get last minute does change your brain chemistry, which enables some of those with ADHD to do it, but you can't live deadline to deadline. I think the key really is to try to find out more natural ways of doing it. So my point really of today's video is to highlight pressure. And in the ADD world, if you're trying to improve and you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself, you're not helping yourself. If you've got somebody with ADHD in your world and you're putting pressure on them, it's not helping yourself either. It's counterintuitive that if you take off the pressure, it will help them because you want them to go forward. But the key for you to know is pressure inhibits performance. One last comment. Some people will say, well, wait a second. Sometimes pressure helps. In an area where a person excels, something comes easy to them, pressure can boost their performance. But the difference in that situation is it's an area of success, an area of talent, an area of passion that comes naturally. And typically with ADHD, those people are not focused in on that, particularly when they're struggling. So I hope you find this tip helpful and subscribe to Attention Talk Video. We put out weekly videos on topics like this that we hope that you and others will find useful. Hope you enjoyed this edition. Take care.